Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you're preparing for Tableau interview, you are in the right place. In this video, we'll be discussing the top Tableau behavioral questions that you might be asked during your interview, and I'll be providing you with some tips that can help you answering this type of questions very effectively. So without wasting much time, let us get started. And if you are new to my channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. The first and the most commonly asked question that I think many of us have faced in the interview is, tell me about a challenging project you have worked on as a Tableau developer, and what are the challenges that you have done to overcome that. Now, this question is specifically designed to assess your problem solving skills, and it will basically test how will you handle a challenging project, or in a very aggressive project, how will you handle this type of situation. Because in assume you are in a very toxic project or in a toxic environment where everyone is trying to push you to deliver work or do extend your work and get the things done. How are you handling the situation in this typical situation? So always remember, when you get this type of question, try to focus what is the, or what was the is or was the project that you're talking about, what was the situation, and what is the resolution you have done in that. So that is how you will be answering this type of question. So let us see an example. I'm going to tell you, maybe in description I'll write it, but I'm just going to you know uh, go with the flow and try to answer this question. Like, say if I am being asked this question, how will I answer this question? So I would like to keep it simple here. So if you are okay with that, maybe you can customize according to your need. But like, say I'll say, like, during my previous project, I had to create a complex financial dashboard where I encountered issues with related to data integration, or like, say, performance optimization issues. So to overcome these challenges, I worked with the database team, and I have optimized my data source connections, and I've asked them to create views on the data sources, and I've used, maybe I can also tell that I've used custom queries to improve the performances. I have removed unnecessary filters on the databases or on the data source. I've limited the data wherever it is required, based on which I was able to handle this situation, and my performance of my dashboard increased considerably. So like this, we can answer this type of question, which should look very convincing. So we should talk about Tableau, the concepts that you have done in Tableau to improve or solve a specific problem. Or you can talk about your data related issues also in this question. Okay, but make sure you are having an answer to this type of question, because many subscribers have written me that they are facing this type of question in many interviews. Okay, so if you have also faced this question in your interview, don't forget to comment in the comment section. Now, second important question is, describe a situation where you had to collaborate with different teams while working on a Tableau project. So now guys, remember that we are not the only ones who are working in a Tableau project or in a project. We might be required, or we might be asked to work with multiple teams. Like, say you might, or we might be asked to communicate with ETL team. We might be asked to communicate with the DB team, or we might be asked to communicate with QA team and all. So now in this specific time, or how are you handling the situation? So this specific question is generally asked to assess your communication skills, or to make sure you are a team member or not. So will you be able to effectively communicate with the different teams to identify where the problem is in your Tableau dashboard and come up with a solution? That is what they are looking when this type of question is asked to you. So don't get confused or don't get nervous in this type of questions. So for instance, like I can tell, So if I am being asked this question, how will I tell? So I was asked to create a sales dashboard in my previous project, where in that project I closely worked with the database team and ETL team to understand the data from which what are the base tables that we are getting. Like say, I will write down here, maybe I was asked to work with ETL and database team uh, to understand the data like that, and understand the data and the requirements, and then take their feedback and work on the dashboards. Like that I can answer. So here I am collaborating or working with multiple teams to understand the data, to or to tell them if there are any inconsistencies in the data. So it's not like we will only be talking about the requirements. We can also tell them what are the things we have identified in the data. So like say you have identified some inconsistencies. So there is some, assume there is some date field and it is coming as null. So you can go back and talk to the team. So you are saying that there is no data in the database. So again, you will reach out to database team to check what happened and why there is no data. So, or if some data that the client is expecting and you are not seeing in the database, you can reach out to your database team and tell them that okay, we are expecting, like say we are expecting data for southern region, but that data is not there in the database itself. Now you can reach out to your data source and ask them, this is the specific data that the business is expecting, and I have not applied any filters in my dashboard, but data is not available. So you can definitely check with them on this type of issues. Or you can tell them, like say, every day your database is getting refreshed, and today when you log in today you're not seeing the latest data. Then you can again reach out to DB team and tell them that okay, hey, I'm not seeing latest data today in my database. Is the refresh done successfully or not? So this type of things happen regularly, day in and day out. So we might be required to communicate with the database team, or likewise we might also be communicating with the QA team to ask the progress on the testing, or if they have identified something in the dashboard that we feel is right and they are telling that it is wrong, then we might again need to explain them why it is not a defect and why the data that is showing is correct and all. So this type of things happen in the real time, and you always need to collaborate with them to have a smooth flow in the project activities. Okay, so this is one of the second, again, very important question for us to understand. Third question is, how do you handle tight deadlines and competing priorities in your Tableau project? Like say this often happens with many of us, where they are working on, like say, multiple deliverables you are working, multiple deliverables you are working. And suddenly one manager comes to you and said, hey Rahul, I need this dashboard today itself. And the other manager also comes to you and say, hey, I also need this. Now, when everyone is pushing you, how will you handle that situation? Very, tricky situations. So in this type of situations, there are certain steps that I always follow or will try to do. Is first thing is prioritize what is important. Okay, you can check with the client what is important to you, or if you are not sure, you can ask them to prioritize the items for you. Okay, ask a client or stakeholders to prioritize things first thing. Or if you have the project plan, you can prioritize things yourself. First thing is this one only. You have to prioritize. Next thing is delegate some of the work. So here time management is coming. Second thing is time management. Okay. And maybe third one is a delegation of work. So here what we can do is in this time crunch situation where you have to deliver many things at a time and where every project manager is pushing you to deliver his work. Sorry for this. So where every work of where every project delivery is important and they are asking you to deliver, what we can do is where some of the work that is not important, you can maybe delegate or share it to your other team members who can take up that work, and you can focus on what is important to you. Like that we can prioritize and deliver. And if you feel that something is not deliverable, or you feel you need more time, please communicate upfront or raise a flag that you would need some more time to deliver a particular task, and tell them why you need. Okay, so here you have to be very clear and very open in communicating what is possible and what is not possible, and in which you will need more time. This needs to be communicated effectively to the client or to the stakeholders or to the management. Okay, because we have only 24 hours in a day and only 8 hours in the work day. So in that 8 hours, what can we do? That can we can do. Okay. So communicate them, and after that let them decide what is important to them, and you can give how much time it will take for each of the task that is assigned to you, like how many hours it will take, if it is getting delayed, why it is getting delayed, and all. So have answer for this type of question. This is very important and very tricky also, because some managers don't even listen to what developers say. They want it at any cost. So in this kind of situations, you can keep the communication open. You can tell them that for this task it will take this much of time, and I can do only this much. Okay, because after, like say, you are given 8 hours to work or complete a task, and you are coming in 10th hour and you are saying that I did not complete, then that is something that will be a knife on us. So instead of that, where as soon as you got the task, you can take a look at that task and see how much time it will take, and communicate in the first hour itself that okay, I'll be able to complete this and not that, like that. Okay, so this will give some ample time to you also and to the manager also, that this is something that is not possible today, and you have also communicated it upfront in the initial stages of. It is rest up to them to decide what they want and what they don't. So that is again third important question that many of us might get in interviews. Okay, so next situation is describe a situation where you had to troubleshoot or resolve a technical issue while working on Tableau dashboard. So generally this question is basically asked to check your you know problem solving skills. So when we are developing a dashboard in real time, we get lot of issues related to data validation, or it can be related to visualizations, or it can be related to performance. It can be anything. The first thing is we need to identify what is the problem. Again, you need to explain the problem here. Like say you are telling in my one of my previous projects, my client came back asking me that he is not able to see data for previous years. Like say currently we are in 2023, right? So he's telling that he's not able to see data for 2022. Now you're whenever he is selecting 2022 from parameter, dashboard is going blank. So something like this, he has raised a defect or he has emailed you stating that my dashboard is going blank whenever I'm selecting a particular year. Now, as a Tableau developer, what are the steps you have taken to fix this problem is something important. So we will go and check if there are any unnecessary filters applied, or if there is something with the calculation, if you have applied any filters on the calculation, or if there is issue with the source itself. So you have to check all the levels and see where you are actually filtering the data. So like say assume you have identified that in your calculation itself you have hard coded as a 2023 only. So that is why whenever you are selecting 2022, it is not identifying because you have hard coded the value and you're not passing the value from parameter. Hence, your dashboard was becoming blank. Now you have updated that to parameter value, your dashboard should work fine. So what again here in this situation also we should talk about what was the problem in the project and how did you fix the problem. So you can keep one or two situations ready in this type of situation so that whenever asked, you can answer right upfront. Okay. So see, these are all real-time issues. Someone who is readily working in the project, he might be able to give a quick answer because no one needs, the real-time experts, they don't need any training on this type of questions because that will come naturally. But for those who are, trying to upskill or move into a Tableau project, so for them, we'll need little preparation on these type of questions. So this video will definitely help you in answering that type of questions. So next is a share an experience where you have to optimize a Tableau performance of a Tableau dashboard, or they can ask you, have you ever worked on Tableau performance report or something like that. So any question related to Tableau performance, you can answer here. So first thing is like say you can tell that, in my previous project, client came back with an issue that Tableau dashboard was taking lot of time to load the data. So client came back to you with a request that it is taking time. How did you fix that? So first thing is you have done a performance recording to identify where the bottleneck is in the dashboard. First step is this only. So after identifying that, you have seen where you have done some data cleansing. So data cleansing means you have removed unnecessary fields or unnecessary or unused worksheets or dashboards. Okay, you have limited the data, have used extracts, have used have removed unnecessary filters and have used context filters and have used uh, numeric type filters, sorry, parameters. And in case if you are at your data source, if you are using multiple tables to join, you have used custom SQL to improve the performance, or instead of that you can tell that I have used views to improve the performance. So this type of different points we can talk about whenever you are talking about a performance improvement in a dashboard. And I think many have were asked this type of question. So prepare, one a detailed answer for this type of question. Okay, so maybe you can start with whatever is it is. If it is A question related to performance, first step should always start with a performance recording of your dashboard. Then only we will know where the problem is. Is the problem related to your query? Is the problem related to your visualization? Is the problem related to your calculations? Like that. So it will clearly show where the issue is, and based on that, we can take necessary steps to troubleshoot that. Okay. One important question that is can be asked in many companies. Okay, so again, share an experience where you had to create a Tableau dashboard from the scratch. Now, generally here or interviewer wants to know what are the steps that you have followed, whenever you are creating a dashboard from the scratch. Now many of us who are going with the Tableau development concept might want to know how we are creating, because in every company the process that we create might be different. So they want to know what is the follow that you have done, or what are the steps that you have taken. Are there any best practices? What is that you have followed? That is what he is trying to understand here. So first step is requirement gathering here in this. Okay, whenever we are starting any dashboard from the scratch, first thing is we need to understanding requirements, and for that we need multiple meetings with this stakeholder or business to identify the needs, like what all he need in the dashboard, what is the design concept he need and all. So based on that, we will get some idea, and next step would be data preparation here. So what is the data that he had? Is the data available in single table, or do we need multiple tables to get the data? So if we are getting data from multiple tables, are we going to do a join, or are we going to use custom SQL, or we can get connected with DB team and ask them to create a view on top of this so that we can improve the performance of the dashboard. So this all we can talk about. And along with this, we can do data cleansing if required, or data aggregation if necessary. All of this can be done during this data preparation activity. Next part is your dashboard design. Now always remember, your dashboard design is very important. It, let's say, keep it simple here. You can follow this method. Keep it simple. That's it. Okay. So what is important for a client is numbers. So that is why I'm rating. Next point is accuracy of data. So whatever the calculations that you are writing according to the requirement that we have received, for us it is important that whatever the numbers we are showing is accurate. Okay, so accuracy is very important here. So you can talk about this point as your fourth point, and you can tell that, I always ensure that whatever the data that I am showing on the dashboard is accurate and in line with the client's requirement. So we can talk about that. Next is using proper visualizations according to the client's requirement, like what he need. Okay, so if you are using a trend line, how are you effectively showing it? So all of that is important here. Okay, so these are some of the things that I think we can, and then after this, I think documentation always to track what all we have done, or documentation can be related to your testing documentation or any issues related documentation, or the best practices documentation, anything it can, but it is a documentation work. So these are some of the steps that you can talk about in interview. So if you are able to talk at least for first four, that is good. Okay, so try to elaborate this type of questions, because these are all theory based question. So you need to talk more in this type of question, and you need to explain the situation, what happened, how did you do, how many meetings, like all of that. If you try to explain the you need to take that interviewer into confidence, and you need to show that with your explanation. You need to tell them, ki boss, okay, I can handle this situation, I've already done it multiple times, and I can definitely take care of this. That is how we can bring confidence. So the way you explain your situation or the way you narrate will definitely improve this. Okay, so that's why for us it is very important we have answer for all of this question. And these are also the questions where we can catch who has actually done the work and who has not done the work. Okay, so try to spend some time and have answer to this type of questions because it is very important. I'll try to have a refined answer in the description box. Do try to check it, and don't forget to like, share, and comment as well. Next one is, tell me about a time where you have to work with a large data set. Okay, how did you handle? Now this again, this type of question I think many of us have already faced. So this is very high probability that the volume of data of the client might be huge. So in this type of question, what we can do? So we need to identify what is that we need in that particular data set, and what are the things that we can filter out from the data set. Okay, and for that we can also use data aggregations. Okay, data cleansing, data filtering, all of this we can do to improve or limit the data. Okay, so using this we can definitely, and maybe using extracts. So all of this we can do to limit or unused data here. Then we can optimize the data by applying filters or using data extracts to reduce the data size. Next, we can carefully design our visualization that can provide a meaningful insights while minimizing the load times. So always remember, whenever we have high data volume, you need to choose your visualizations very carefully. Otherwise, the load time of the dashboard will increase considerably. So make sure you are taking care of that here. Okay, or else you can use SQL queries to improve the performance, like that. So you can create maybe views like that. Okay, or if at all you want an example, so here is how we can answer that. Like in my previous project, I was asked to create a Tableau dashboard from scratch to visualize the data sources with which has a very high volume of data. So in that I followed a very systematic process that involved, like say, data cleansing, limiting the data, aggregating. So if assume if it is a transactional system, you are summarizing that at a particular level so that you can limit the number of rows, like that. And you have kept a proper data source filters to limit the data as well. And so by this way you can definitely improve or limit the data, which can considerably increase the performance of your Tableau dashboard. Okay, so the next question is related to your training, like say Tableau training that you need to provide to non-technical group. So often what happens is, in real time, once your Tableau dashboard is successfully completed, we might need to cross train the business. So business can be technical, or they can be non-technical. So what are you doing in terms of non-technical here? So we need to explain, or you need to keep your presentation very simple, and try to explain them in non-technical way if they are not able to understand your technical concept, which means our the way we are trying to explain should be very simple, like what all we have done. Maybe you can use visualizations to explain what you have done. So always I have seen many situations where I'm trying to explain, but they'll not understand because we are technical experts. Whenever we try to tell them a particular situation, we can understand, but they are non-technical person, so they don't understand. So you need to keep it in a very generic English language so that they understand what is happening in the project and all, and how have you taken care of this. So this is something that is important here. So generally, this is to assess your ability to adapt to changes in Tableau. Yeah, basically like how you are presenting yourself to the client, how you are explaining the situation to the client, that how are you explaining what all we have done in the Tableau dashboard. So generally, once our dashboard is completed, we tend to give a demonstration of what kind of Tableau dashboard we have created. So now in this situation, it is very important that you convey the right meaning of the dashboard by showing them what all we have done. Okay, so keep it very simple. Don't use high skilled words like a developer uses. No, they're non-technical persons. You need to go with terms of functional way, where you have to explain the concepts, like what your parameter does, what your filter does, how your interactivity works. All of them you have to, maybe you can go to your dashboard and show them how it works basically. Okay, so that way they will get confidence on how to use the Tableau dashboard that you have created, because remember that you have created this dashboard for them, and they should feel confident on the dashboard you have created. So the way you explain or the way you show them how to use the dashboard will bring them confidence in using the dashboard. Okay, so I think that's it from my side in this video. I hope you have found this video useful. If it does, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to share it across your friends who are attending the interviews. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye and have a good day.